Hello there, Slamscape here. Today, I want to talk about my bounty hunter build for the Cobra Mk5. With everything going on around the time of its release, Powerplay, Cocijo, and the holidays, I realized I never actually showed a fully engineered combat build. That's a real shame because the Cobra Mk5 is incredibly powerful for such a small package. It's a blast to fly and I genuinely enjoy piloting it. So it's time to fix that. Let's take a look at my bounty hunting build setup for the Cobra Mk5. The Cobra Mk5 was designed as a multi-role small ship, building on the legacy of the Cobra line. The Cobra Mk3 has long been a staple of the Elite Dangerous franchise, arguably the poster ship of the game, particularly in its early years. While the Mk3 is a solid and well-loved vessel, often serving as many commanders' first true multi-purpose ship, it does have its limitations. The Cobra Mk5 improves upon this classic design by offering more weapon hardpoints, upgraded core modules, and increased optional internal space, providing greater utility and versatility. As a newer model, it also supports the latest Supercruise overcharged FSD drives. Visually, the Cobra Mk5 trades the utilitarian appearance of its predecessors for a sleeker, more streamlined design, evoking the look and feel of a stealth fighter, which I personally find appealing. I've outfitted my Cobra Mk5 for combat and bounty hunting, focusing on the ship's natural strengths to create a hard-hitting, tanky small fighter that can hold its own against most threats in the game. With a boost speed of over 600 meters per second, the Cobra excels at controlling engagements, whether you need to quickly close the distance or break away and retreat. Its generous optional internal slots allow for a shield strength of over 700 megajoules, while still leaving room to reinforce the hull up to around 2200 hit points. The ship's 3 medium and 2 small hardpoints offer plenty of flexibility to tailor your weapons to suit your playstyle. All these strengths combine to create a surprisingly strong bounty hunting ship. Let's break down the build. The Cobra Mk5 has the most available firepower of any of the small ships, consisting of 3 medium and 2 small hardpoints. The 3 mediums are located in a triangle around the cockpit and have good convergence, while the 2 smalls are located midway on the wings. These hardpoints give us many loadout options. However, I feel that the Cobra's small size and maneuverability lend itself towards fixed weaponry. I am currently running 3 medium plasma accelerators and 2 small frag cannons. The plasma accelerators do absolute damage which aren't affected by enemy ship resistances. PAs can be hard to learn, but they really help this small ship punch way above its weight class. For comparison, 3 medium PAs do around the same damage as 2 large. We then use the small frags to add more kinetic DPS and to debuff our targets. For the 2 medium hardpoints to the left and the right of the cockpit, I run efficient plasma accelerators. One of the PAs has the Dispersal Field Experimental, which helps disrupt your enemy's gimbal and turret targeting. The second has the Target Lock Breaker Experimental, which has limited use in PvE, but can be useful if you run into hostile commanders. For the medium plasma accelerator above the cockpit, I opt to use short-range engineering with oversized as the experimental, which bumps the damage up by 80%. The 2 efficient and 1 short-range configuration gives the best DPS without running into power, overheating, and distributor drain issues. For the 2 small hardpoints, I run both as gimbal frags. On the first frag, I use high-capacity engineering with the Corrosive Shell Experimental, which debuffs our target by 25% and lowers their armor hardness by 20%. This is a great way to improve our DPS with a limited downside of 20% less ammo. I engineer with high capacity to offset this, as I'm mainly using this frag for its utility, so more uptime is better. For the second frag, I engineer it with overcharge to improve the damage, and drag munitions for the experimental to slow our enemies, letting us control the fight better. Feel free to share your preferred loadouts in the comments. The utilities are mainly going to be used to supplement our shield strength. For 3 of the spots, I use E-rated shield boosters. I opt to use the E-rated versions in order to keep the weight and power usage lower. One shield booster is engineered with heavy duty and supercapacitors as the experimental. The other 2 shield boosters use resistance augmented and supercapacitors. When combined with our main shield and some Guardian shield boosters, we'll wind up with about 760 raw shield strength and 40 to 50% resistances across the board. I outfit the last utility slot based on the activity I'm engaged in. For general bounty hunting, I use a D-rated kill warrant scanner with fast scan engineering. While this reduces the scan range, it completes in just 2 seconds, which is much more efficient overall. For conflict zones and assassination missions, I switch to a heat sink launcher. This helps prevent overheating and reduces my heat signature, making it easier to evade enemies when swarmed. The core internals house the essential systems required to operate the ship, such as the power plant thrusters, life support, and more. For medium and large ship builds, I usually recommend some engineering is necessary and some is optional. However, for a smaller ship, you're really going to need to engineer most components to get the most out of the build. For the armor, I would suggest running reactive surface composite with heavy-duty engineering and the deep plating experimental. I prefer a heavier armor setup to give the Cobra a balanced defense between shields and hull. To offset the thermal vulnerability of reactive armor, I compensate with hull reinforcements in the optional internals. Altogether, we'll wind up with about 2200 raw armor hit points and about 3500 once resistances are taken into account. If you'd prefer more speed, you can switch to lightweight alloy instead. Next, use a 4A power plant with armored engineering and the thermal spread experimental. This combo increases power output and improves heat efficiency, which is important for keeping heat manageable while firing our plasma accelerators, which tend to generate significant heat even when engineered efficient. For the engines, I use 4A thrusters with dirty tuning engineering and drag drives as the experimental. This will give us strong thrusters, which will let us cruise at 430 meters per second and boost up to 612. You can push the Cobra even faster with some lighter modules, but I find this speed to be a comfortable balance. Any faster while dogfighting feels excessive to me, though that's subjective. The frameshift drive should be a 4A SCO enabled version engineered with increased range and mass manager. This will give us a single jump of 31.76 light years and a total range of 162.02 light years. While not the highest jump range, it's good enough for hopping around the bubble and running missions. If you want a higher jump range, you can try cutting some weight or fit in a Guardian FSD booster into one of the optional internal spots. Next, we'll run 3D life support with lightweight engineering. This will help our jump range and thruster speed. For the power distributor, run a 4A with charge enhanced and super conduits. This will give us the best overall recharge rate for weapons, shields, and thrusters. Finally, for sensors, I run with a 3D with long-range engineering. Since I'm using this ship to bounty hunt, having a longer scan range is beneficial. If that's not a concern for you, running lightweight would be a good alternative to help your jump range and speed. The optional internals are where we fit our shields, hull reinforcements, and some other optional bounty hunting equipment. In the only Class 5 optional, I recommend fitting in a 5D Guardian shield reinforcement package. This Guardian module will give us a flat 215 megajoules bonus to our shields, which is extra impactful on smaller ships which have lower base shield numbers. In the Class 4 slot, I suggest running a 4C biweave shield generator engineered with thermal resistant and fast charge. Combined with our other shield related modules, this setup gives a raw shield strength of 767 megajoules and about 2500 effective strength with 2 pips to systems and resistances factored in. I considered a 5C bi-weave, but there are trade-offs. While it offers very slightly more raw shield strength and a marginally faster recharge rate, it requires more pips into systems to regenerate. If it goes down, it won't rebuild unless you allocate 4 pips to systems. In practice, this makes the 5C less flexible. Despite appearing better on paper, the 4C performs more reliably in actual real combat scenarios. In the next Class 4 slot, I opt for another Guardian Shield Reinforcement package, a 4C, which adds 182 raw shield strength. In the last size 4 spot, I put in a 4D hull reinforcement with heavy duty engineering and deep plating. Next, for the size 3s, in the first, I put in a 3D module reinforcement to give our modules a little bit more integrity in case our shields go down. This will let us stay in the fight longer without malfunctions. The next Class 3 slot, I put in a 3A fuel scoop. While the scooping will be slow, it gives me a little bit more range without having to land for refueling constantly. The last Class 3 slot, I fit in a 3D hull reinforcement, again engineered with heavy duty and deep plating. The Class 2 slot is another hull reinforcement, this time a 2D with thermal resist and deep plating. The thermal resist is to help offset the thermal deficit we have from using reactive surface composite for our armor. Our final resistances will be 35% kinetic, 38% thermal, and 33% explosive. For the final Class 1 slot, I opt to fit in a 1D frameshift drive interdictor. This is used to pull wanted targets out of supercruise. Although it's not absolutely necessary for bounty hunting, it's nice to have. Now that we've looked through the full build, let's take a bounty hunting run to see the ship in action. Alright, here we go. Let us repel the heist, see what we can get done. Let's go for a big target to start. There's a lot of targets to pick from. Alright, so we're going to start boosting in. This should be an easy-ish kill because we're way more maneuverable than Anaconda, so we can try and keep away from his main guns. Alright. Doesn't seem to be firing, so. Alright, let's get on his tail. Just get close enough. Actually, I'm not sure why this ship is not attacking yet. That was good. Good job, Slam.
Not many of them left. Finish them.
There's still 10 left. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, actually, I'm not sure whether this guy is not shooting us at all. So we'll just sit on his butt. Helps if I put power into the thrusters here. Now we'll see if we can get a power plant hits. Save some ammo. So yeah, I'm firing my frags beforehand, before I fire the plasmas, so we get the corrosive effect. We also have drag effect working, so that's stopping him from being able to boost. Alright, one down. Let's go find a more exciting target. Yeah, actually, are we in a... I think we're in a bugged instance. No, they're firing. Okay. shoot our frags in the plasma. Trying to stay away from hitting the station. Should not be firing when I'm falling away. So I'm getting my power up into my weapons, hitting it to shields as we fly past, then back. Too far. Alright, so I'm gonna... He's not... I put my gear down to slow our boost so it's not quite as intense. Because this ship can boost pretty fast. So I'm just kind of demonstrating the, you know, the ability to control the fight here. The drags definitely help us keep the momentum. Alright, there we go. Another one down. Let's see if we can find a target that is not quite such a pushover. Alright, this is going to be a little tougher. Vultures are my nemesis. Although, again, not much of a fight. Yeah, none of these guys are really doing much to us. I don't know why. And I'm flying FA on. I'm sure with FA off you could do much more interesting maneuvering. Took a big hit. Shield hit there, it's fine. Alright, now he's shooting. So yeah, I make sure I always have pips into my shields when I'm not actively firing. Alright, another one down. So we'll put 4 pips into systems now so we can get more shields while we're choosing new targets. So plasmas take a while to get used to, but this ship is fast, so you get a lot of momentum to help the shots hit. He looks like he's attacking us. Now that we're getting shot at, I gotta try and keep pips into shields more often. A bad shot. Anyway, Pythons are sometimes hard because they you constantly are overshooting them, but we can do the gear maneuver to slow us down a bit. Scan off. Actually, let's try and hit this power plant here.
Landing gear deployed. Landing gear retracted. Under attack. Temperature critical.
So this ship does run a little hot, but so as long as you're not max firing at max fire rate the entire time, it's very, very hard to actually overheat the ship. Alright, so we'll grab some more, get some more shield regen. Alright, let's go. Deadly.
Mission critical message.
Useless delivery contract. I'm just going to take this approach a little slower. No need to go too crazy if we're just facing one python. Yeah, with like proper maneuvering, you can just stay away from him all the time.
Critical.
I know I'm shooting in the wrong order, but there we go. And yeah, that's it. I mean, we still have a bunch more targets to kill, but that's I think that's a good demonstration. This ship is just fast, maneuverable, and actually still packs a decent punch. And that wraps up my fully engineered bounty hunting build for the Cobra Mk5. It's fast, it hits hard, and it's a blast to fly. Everything you'd want in a small, versatile combat ship. If you've been sleeping on the Mk5, I hope this video gave you a reason to give it a shot. Let me know what you think in the comments. What would you change? What Cobra 5 builds are you flying right now? If you enjoyed this video, a like and a sub go a long way. And if you want to see more Elite Dangerous content, from ship builds to gameplay guides, make sure to ring that bell so you don't miss anything. Thank you for watching.